Yo, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a hyperpop beat from scratch. So I already have some basic chords laid out here, and it's in the scale of D sharp minor. So I just went on the MIDI and figured out these chords, and then I flipped the middle notes up. And I highly recommend that you learn a scale because D sharp minor is super easy. It's just like all the black keys and then B and F, so it's really easy to learn, and it's a nice way to like put what you're thinking into your hands. I don't know, it's kind of easy. So here's what the basic chord progression sounds like. So it's like slow, it's smooth, it's kind of relaxing. So now I'm going to go through and I think I'm going to add rolls like this every after every chord. Alright, so now there's a little bit more like movement in the chords. And the reason I'm using a one shot is because like I have serum and everything, but I'm using a one shot just to get the bass pattern down. So I chose one that didn't have like a lot of effects on it. It's just dry and very like you can hear the tonal quality of the one shot. So it's easier to hear exactly what notes are being played and there's not a lot of effects getting in the way. So you can make a like I don't know, just a cooler pattern. I don't know, I've been doing it lately and it helps out a lot with making more unique patterns and then going in later and switching it to a pluck or something. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to figure out like a top line melody for this and then maybe do some more notes down here if the top line doesn't really fill it out. And right there I did a shift D to make them all the same length because I saw that it wasn't actually like on the grid, so I did shift D and it made them all the size of one cell. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do Control L to make all the notes stretch to each other. Just because it's a one shot, so it kind of bleeds a little bit. Because I don't think I have the envelope turned on. And then right there for this note, you saw how I put it up 5 because I know that no matter, I'm pretty sure no matter what minor scale you're in, if you put it up 5, it'll still be in the scale. So I think that's a pretty cool start for a top line. But before I like copy it over and finish it, I'm actually gonna take the bass chords and I'm gonna copy it over one more, just so that when I'm arranging the final beat, I'll have another section of this that's even less busy than like having a top line melody. So it'll just be the chords, and then usually I'll flip the chords up an octave and then leave it at that for like a secondary pattern. So right here, I just don't like the transition, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna alter these notes to fit together. Because even though it's like a downward sweep and all the notes are right next to each other, it just doesn't sound nice. Like it doesn't transition well because this is a C sharp chord and then this is a B chord, so it's just a little bit different, and I'll go in and alter it. Alright, so like I was saying earlier, how like this didn't sound good. So I actually looked at the chord and there's C sharp, A sharp, and F. So I know that these three notes will actually sound good in as a top line because they're in the chord. So instead of having it start at an F sharp, I inverted this and then had it start as an F and go up to an F sharp. And that made it sound a lot better. So now I'm going to go over to this second half and I selected it all and then I shift clicked it so it duplicates it. And then I'm going to do control and then the up arrow. And then that'll put it up an octave. And then I'm going to play this whole thing because I'm pretty sure it sounds pretty nice. So I really like the way that top line actually turned out, but I realized that some of these notes together are like on top of each other in the second half. So I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna, well, actually I'll probably select it all and then do Control L, and it'll make it so none of the notes interfere. So now I'm gonna go replace this with Serum, and then I'm just gonna click around until I find a preset that I like. So that preset is crazy. Like it got the delay and everything, so I think I'm gonna stick with that, even though it like is destroying my CPU. But now I'm gonna go in and I think I want to add another pluck that copies the top line. So I'm gonna go in here, control and drag to select these notes, and then do Control C, go to this pattern, Control V, so now we have the top line in here. And now I'm just gonna find a nice like accent to go to this, but I'm actually gonna stretch this out to the second half too. So I think that pluck will sound really cool, and when I mix it I'll probably put a imager on it and a bunch of reverb just to make it sound super ambient. Yes, that sounds really cool. So now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find a bass, and the bass I like to use for like these kind of like ambient, like just vibey hyperpop beats is like if you go into the Adapt Serum Bank, highly recommend it. Go to Wave. This bass is just so smooth. So now I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna copy the bass notes. And then I'm gonna put a note at the end here. do Control L, so they'll all stretch together. And then I'm actually going to take this last note and bring it over the C sharp so it bends down. So that's too high, so I'm going to put it back down. So now I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to put a pad that copies the chords from the original pluck pattern. So I think I want to go in Omnisphere for that just because, I don't know, they have nice pads. And then I'm going to put a shaper box, which is, you can get the demo for it, and it's an amazing plugin for just like wacky filter effects. And then I'm just going to do the same Control C and then go to the pad I found and then do Control V. And then I'm going to solo this just to make sure it sounds nice. So that's pretty cool, but I think it has like too much sustain, or maybe like a too much delay. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to figure out so that sound, this part of the patch isn't making a lot of sound. So I'm going to go into the B. So I'm going to turn the release down. And I'm going to turn the decay down. So that sounds pretty cool. And just because I know what I want to do with it already, I'm going to not like actually route it to the mixer, but I'm just going to put it on channel 2 and then throw an EQ on it. And I'm just going to keep like the middle to low frequencies, but actually dip out of the lows a little bit because the sub bass, it'll take up some of like in here. And then I'm going to go into shaper box, which is right here. You know, gotta wait for the demo. And then I'm going to go into filter, and there's tons of like little banks here, and you can just click through them and see one that you like. I've been using this a lot recently. So that's kind of cool, but like that's just too busy. So I'm gonna go click around and find one that I like. So I like this one, but originally this point was down here, so it was filtering out like everything. So I just moved it up like one little box, and now it sounds like this. I just think that's a really cool layer. And then I'm going to turn this down and see how it sounds with the first pluck pattern. So I actually see here that I copied the bass notes, so I'm going to delete that because I don't even think they're going to show up, so it's better just to delete them. So I feel like that sound adds a nice little ambience. And now I'm going to check if OBS is working, because I swear to God if it's not. Alright, it's working. That would be horrible. Usually I would either choose like making like a vocal pattern with like a bunch of voxes and then like panning them and everything. But I think I'm going to do a lead and then just like 1 or 2 vocals, because I don't really know like what would sound good, because I feel like this is almost like a complete melody, but I just want to add something a little extra. So I'm going to go into Serum, I'm going to go to the Adapt Bank, of course, and then I'm going to grab the basic one, just the basic lead. And maybe the lead will come in when the second pluck isn't coming in, so I'm going to turn that off. And then I'm just going to look over here. turn this way down because I don't feel like it needs to be that present. So yeah, that definitely comes in when that second pluck isn't in because they clash together. But now I'm gonna add probably just one vocal to fill in like the spaces that are like here in the lead. So like the lead and the vocal come in some parts, and then in some parts just the second pluck will come in. Just adding more options to arrange and make just like a crazy beat. So I'm just gonna grab the retake one. It's just simple, it's fire. And then I'm gonna go in, just click around, see what sounds good. So yeah, that's crazy with the lead. And then, of course, that part. Alright, so now I'm gonna mix this. Alright, so I just mixed this and I really didn't do too much. I cut the lows on the pluck to not interfere with the sub bass, and I threw an imager on it, but I didn't like turn it all the way up because on the like kind of side chained pad I turned it all the way up on that, so I wanted there to be some kind of separation between them. And then also on the pad, of course, there's the shaper box, but I did this for that, and then I cut the lows and the highs. And then for the top line pluck, I just cut a little bit of the highs out and then did a ping pong delay and turned it about a quarter way down. And then for the lead, I just cut out this harsh frequency in the middle. And then I panned it to the left, and then I panned the Vox to the right, so there's separation between them because they're in the same space in the EQ. So to make them not like mesh together, really, I panned them to separate sides. And then I just put reverb and then a chorus on it. And then, actually, I want to turn this half down. I meant to do that while I was mixing, but I didn't. And then for the sub bass, I just cut all the highs and had it fade out here because the plucks are cut right here. So it'll kind of fade into them and it'll mesh really nicely. So here's the melody all together. Alright, so now that's pretty crazy. So I'm going to do some drums on it real quick. Try to keep it real simple and open just so it's easy for an artist to get on because the melody's kind of complex. So I'm going to leave the drums a lot less complex. Yeah, so I think this beat is pretty much done. I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed. Drop a sub if you liked it. Yeah, maybe a one-shot kit at 1K. I was trying to make some the other day, but they were kind of whack. I made one. I don't even know where it is. Crazy sound, just absolutely insane. But yeah, that's the beat. I'm gonna play it the full beat right now. Have a splendid evening. Wait, it's 2 p.m. Have a splendid afternoon.